I've been recently checking out the Spectre Divide playtest on Steam in order to see if it's good and if the game offers something that could be of interesting for us FPS gamers out there, since it's about to release soon, it says on the Steam page. Spectre Divide is developed and published by Mountain Shop Studios, and I believe they've gotten some help, or at least advice from the legendary FPS gamer Shroud, if I'm correct, when it comes to developing this game. Spectre Divide is a competitive FPS game similar to games such as Counter-Strike and Valorant. However, Spectre Divide is a 3v3 tactical shooter driven by duality. It means that you can control two bodies in real time, which gives you quite a few tactical options and possibilities, depending on where you place your Spectre on the map, which is the second version of you, so to say. If you die, you immediately are transferred into your Spectre, but remember that the enemies can detect and find your Spectre and kill it as well, so it can sometimes be a good idea to have your Spectre pretty close to you where you are on the map, let's say if you're attacking, instead of placing your Spectre too close to the opposite side, maybe the B bomb side if you're pushing A, where it can be easily detected and therefore killed. Sometimes you might get away with that, meaning putting your Spectre on the opposite side of the map, and can therefore switch over to your Spectre if you get a call out that the other team is pushing the other bomb side, and by doing so get a cheesy flank, if you will. Again, there are pros and cons depending on where you decide to place your Spectre, and also how and when you switch between your characters. An interesting concept indeed that adds something special and partly unique into Spectre Divide. The game plays pretty well and smooth so far already in the playtest, and I do like the art style of the game. The gunplay feels good and most of the guns are fun to use. I haven't tried exactly everyone, but most of them. And the shortcomings that I came across regarding this aspect when it comes to performance was mostly on my end due to a bit of a weak CPU. The game has a pretty good tutorial to start with when you're getting into the game for the first time, which goes through basic movement and also how to use and place your Spectre and so on. Alongside with that, there are abilities in the game that you can choose from at the beginning of a match. Spectre Divide does not have heroes with locked abilities, but it allows players to customize their arsenal instead. In Spectre Divide, there are 8 toolkits that are sponsored by different brands and named after them according to game lore, and players can choose the one that fits their playstyle. And we're talking healers, zone controllers, intel gatherers, just to mention some. It takes some time when playing before you get a better understanding about these Spectre Divide sponsors or Spectre Divide classes, but when you do, you realize that a good mix of above-mentioned toolkits when it comes to your team can become very useful and good. The good thing also is that I didn't feel that any of these so-called abilities was over the top too powerful, which is good. If you play games such as CS or Valorant, as mentioned before, you're also used to buy weapons and gear before each round. But unlike Valorant or CS, you don't buy individual weapons for each character. The weapons come in sets of 2 that split between you and your Spectre. Due to this buy system, economy is also a thing in Spectre Divide to a certain degree, since you do earn more if you win a round compared to losing, which is as it should be. I was solo queuing most of the time when playing, and that's also the gameplay you're watching. My first impression was positive, although I felt rusty, I have to say. It was a long time ago since I played a similar competitive shooter, so I didn't do that well to start with. I guess it's needless to say that you're also better off if you're able to play with 2 friends communicating, because when you go solo or solo queue, you can be unlucky, at least that's what I experienced, that you might go up against an organized team, meaning a trio that are playing together, or the fact that one of your teammates or random teammates decides to leave mid-game, which of course makes it pretty hard to win. Remember though that this is casual, ranked will be available later down the line. But after a few hours of playing, I started to get into it and also started to perform better. I was also lucky to get into a match with 2 nice guys that also played well, and I managed to pull off a lot of kills in that match and we won, so that was a lot of satisfaction. With that said, balance when it comes to matches in the casual playlist and the overall experience when it comes to you and your team can vary quite some. So is this a good game? Is it fun to play and can we breathe some potential here? And I would say yes. As said, the game performs pretty well already now in the playtest, and the game has a specific style both when it comes to the visuals but also the duality option, placing your Spectre on the map and switching between the 2. It creates a certain dynamic within the gameplay that is quite interesting and fun. And the gunplay feels pretty tight and the maps also feels good, and they are for sure designed with the Spectre duality thing in mind. So who is this game for? If you're a casual gamer playing mainly Call of Duty or maybe Battlefield games, this game maybe aren't your first choice of a game, although I might be wrong. Instead, I'm thinking about a future player base that are most likely playing or have been playing CS or in Valorant, and are therefore happy to see a new competitive FPS game stepping into the arena. Can it compete with other shooters in the genre? Well, to a certain extent, I believe it can. I mean, it's free to play to start with, it will be, but doing well as a game depends on other factors as well. For example, on what kind of overall feedback Spectre Divide will get when it finally releases, and how the game and its updates are able to keep up the interest of the players. We have a pretty dense fall ahead of us when it comes to FPS titles being released overall, and other playtests around the corner as well. So maybe it would be a good idea to wait until, let's say, November, until they decide to release Spectre Divide. Again, there's no set release date yet from what I can see, but it's also important to say that Spectre Divide will be launched on PC first and on consoles later. But we don't know yet which platforms will get ports, and worst case scenario, it might take a long time before Spectre Divide will be ported to consoles. Will I play this game? I believe I will. However, the problem for me is always to get some time to actually play with some friends and get that thing together, since that is the most fun when playing a game such as Spectre Divide and similar. That kind of limit my possibilities when it comes to playing the game, even though I will most likely solo queue the game even so once in a while after release. Nowadays I'm more interested also to play a variety of games, and mainly in the genre of FPS gaming. So I don't feel an urge to spend like hour and after hour in the game such as Spectre Divide in order to become good enough to play ranked, as an example. But who knows, maybe I will, we'll see. With that said, I want to say thank you for watching when it comes to the Spectre Divide playtest that will be up and running until August 21st, if I got it right. It would be nice to hear from you as well, what you think after watching this video. Do you believe that this is a game for you, and are you looking forward to play it? Or maybe you have already played a lot of hours in the actual playtest and wants to leave some feedback. Well, either way, feel free to do so in the comments. I'll keep an eye on Spectre Divide also later down the line, since it's gonna be interesting to see and follow the future development of this game, and also when they decide to release it. Take care now and have a great day. Thanks for watching. Later.